There are a few things I do well, and some things I don't. One of the things I do not do well is read minds. So this may be on your mind, or it may not be. But it definitely will be now after I mention it. So maybe I am good at reading minds in advance. Not sure. Some of you may have been wondering, we haven't heard Reverend Jennifer speak in a while. Not that we don't mind when Reverend Ogun speaks. I'm putting that in your mind. Not that we don't mind when Reverend Ogun speaks, but we haven't heard Reverend Jennifer speak in a while. A few weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago rather, Jennifer went on a spiritual retreat. She was gone for about 10 days. And often when we go to spiritual retreat and we create the space, we unplug, we disconnect, and we create the space to hear what Spirit would have for us. That question of what is ours to do next. One of the things that came clear to her is that when she came back, she was not done with the disconnecting time. In other words, there was still more time needed in that spiritual retreat renewal time. So what that looks like for her right now is less of the during the week things that she normally does, like meetings and meeting with folks and planning a Sunday talk. Unfortunately for her, she has an amazing crack staff. Not just me. All the people you saw standing here a week ago when we acknowledged them. And board and Sunday service team to help support her in that time of continuing in the stillness. And how long will she be in the stillness? There are stories in the Bible where, Jesus went to fast before his ministry for 40 days, and Moses and the children of Israel were wandering in the desert for 40 years. When we read stories like that in the Bible, and that number 40 comes up a lot, it simply means as long as it takes. That is metaphysically, what it means. When we read the Bible and we see those time periods, 40 days, 40 years, as long as it takes. And what we know is that from those stories, it comes to an end, and there's a returning. But what I know from being with Jennifer for all these years is that when she hears that guidance and follows it, a good thing happens. A good thing is in store. Let me tell you about the time we learned to play golf. I know, abrupt segue. For some of you, you may know this. This was not the first time we are living here in the D.C. area. We met in 1997. We were here in the D.C. area. We got married here in the D.C. area. Our daughter Joy was born in the D.C. area. Our first Unity spiritual community was here in the D.C. area. Our closest friends and spiritual family and support group was here in the D.C. area. And 10 years ago, this summer, we packed up the U-Haul, filled the cars, and drove halfway across the country to Kansas City, Missouri, to begin ministerial school. It was not an easy move because we were leaving behind all the things and the people that meant the most to us. Now, here's the thing about Jennifer and I that I think helps make us a good team. She is an anticipatory griever. Let that sink in for a while. I, on the other hand, am a post-event griever. So when we know something's going to happen, she starts the grief process early, before it happens. It happens, and then I'm the one that's blubbering. Because I do it after, she does it before. So knowing that this time was coming, Jennifer asked the question, what is mine to do? What is mine to do to make this experience fulfilling? What is mine to do to ease this transition? And the message she got out of meditation was learn to play golf. But you see, when we're open to a healing and when we have surrendered to Spirit, we're going to hear some things for us to do that may not make sense. But we do them anyways. How many of you ever played golf? Golf players in the hand, in the room. You don't have to be like a regular, habitual golf player, but if you've ever played or in the process of playing, no, putt-putt does not count. No, I'm real golf. Here's the thing about playing golf. And when we decided to play golf, we didn't just get clubs and go slapping the ball around. We took some classes. Here's the thing about playing golf. There is no way you will do it well. There's no way you will succeed at golf unless you know how to be fully, totally present in the moment. Fully, totally present in the moment. When you stand before that ball, you have to be able to do a few things. You have to be able to become still and silent, shutting out all the distractions. You have to be able to let go of the past and forgive yourself for the shots you made before. You have to let those go. You have to not anticipate what may happen in the future. You have to stay fully present. From the moment of the backswing to the moment the club connects the ball to the moment of the follow-through, you remain present in that moment. If you play golf, you know that when you hit the ball, if you lift your head to see where the ball is going to go, when you lift your head to look towards what's going to happen next, the shot goes awry. You have to stay fully, totally present in the moment. Unbeknownst to us, we were given the gift of one of the greatest spiritual practices that we didn't know existed. Yes, golf is, if done with intention, a spiritual practice. When you were playing golf, the only competitor on that course is you and your thoughts. So it goes in life. The truth is, there's nothing or no one out there who can do you harm other than you and your thoughts. When we are open to healing and surrender to Spirit, sometimes we hear and are led to things that may seem most bizarre. Take the story of a young woman. Her name is Cammie Walker. A few days after her dream wedding on the beach, she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And it progressed really fast. Within a few months, she was unable to even walk. And she started complaining, or rather speaking, lamenting, "Woe is me," to a friend of her who also happened to be her spiritual guide. And her friend gave her some, shall we say, unexpected and orthodox advice. But I'm going to let Cammie tell her own story.
I decided to write the book, 29 Gifts, because I really wanted to tell this story of transformation that happened for me. 29 Gifts is a worldwide giving movement with 5,000 members in about 38 countries. It started out with just me. I was very sick and in a pretty deep dark place in my life, and was given an uncommon prescription from an African medicine woman to give away 29 gifts in 29 days. And she predicted that it would help me break out of the negative thought patterns that were going on around my illness, given that I had been in the hospital 4 times in 5 months and literally couldn't walk. I thought it was a totally crazy idea. And I was totally shocked when I decided to go ahead and take her suggestion. It took me a little while, but eventually I did. I started giving, and about halfway through my giving, it was amazing. I was walking again without a cane. I had clients calling me out of nowhere, so business was starting to pick up for me. So around that point was when I decided to put a website up and start telling the stories, daily stories about the gifts that I gave and the experiences that I had with people. So the book is primarily a memoir that tells the story of those 29 days. And in the back of the book, there's actually a collection of essays from 9 different people who have tried the 29 Gifts experiment or prescription and had a great experience. Throughout those first 29 days of giving, I usually gave very simple things. Like I gave a Kleenex to a friend who was crying. I actually gave my acupuncturist, I gave her a conch shell. And it represents the calling of the Buddha. As a community, we had a day that we noted as Giving Rocks Day. Here's one of mine that says, "You are a gift, the Flower Power Give." I started to organize group gives in different cities. It's sort of become the signature 29 Gifts give. My favorite gift that I've given is adopting my little dog Charlie.
When we are open to healing and surrender to Spirit, we will be guided to what is ours to do. Incidentally, back in the day, a few years ago, Jennifer and I did a spiritual parenting podcast, and we interviewed Cammie Walker. She's an amazing soul. If you want to hear that interview, go to unionline.radio, search for Unity Family Matters. We no longer do the show, but all the episodes are archived up there, and the date was September 30th, and you can still hear that interview. When we are open to healing and surrender to Spirit, we are guided. Spiritual author Shakti Gawain writes the following: "In order to heal themselves, people must first recognize that they have an inner guidance deep within. And second, they can trust it." An inner guidance deep within, and we can trust it. So how do we get to that place of hearing that guidance? First of all, we got to create the conditions. We got to create the conditions to hear it. So first, we set this intention to be open. I am open to healing. Everyone say that. I am open to healing. One more time.
I am open to healing.
And then we got to make space to listen. You have to make space to listen. And that may mean getting away from the everyday things that we do, taking a spiritual retreat, going on a meditation retreat, unplugging. Make the time, the space. Listen with our hearts open. Listen and trust with our hearts open. And surrender to Spirit. I am open to healing and surrender to Spirit. Say it with me. I am open to healing and surrender to Spirit. One more time. I am open to healing and surrender to Spirit. Now say it silently to yourselves. I am open to healing and surrender to Spirit. When we are open to healing and surrender to Spirit, that's when the transformation begins. That's when we know what is ours to do. And no matter how bizarre it looks, whether it be playing golf, whether it be given when you have nothing left to give, know that there will be a healing as we listen.
Mother, Father, God, there's a healing going on. Mother, Father, God, there's there's a healing going on. Mother, Father, God, there's a healing going on. Oh, rock my soul. Oh, rock my soul. A healing going on. A healing going on. Let me walk to the banks of the river of love, where the current runs deep, baptized in the one, where there's no separation, and the light is all we see, honoring all our differences, and love will set you
For the
free.
words, sing along.
Oh, Mother, Father, God, there's a healing going on. Mother, Father, God, there's a healing going on. Mother, Father, God, there's a healing going on. Oh, rock my soul. Oh, rock.
Sing it one more time. Mother, Father, God.